What if I told you we've already seen a select amount of shots from Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 2 and potentially the finale? What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're talking about Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2, and the finale, specifically shots we've already seen from them. That's right, I'm breaking down every shot we've seen from all the trailers and marketing thus far that hasn't been shown in the show yet. As of filming this, we've only seen Volume 1, or the first 4 episodes. There are still some shots from the To-Doom date announcement, from the trailer, from the teaser, from some of the behind-the-scenes footage that we actually haven't seen in the show, so we can deduce it's going to appear in Episode 5, 6, 7, or 8. Now, before I get into this, hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts and predictions on these shots from the trailers that we haven't seen in the show just yet. Where do you think they're going to show up? And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It means quite a bit. And if you want extra content from the world of Stranger Things and beyond, Patreon is the place to be. My full reactions to every episode from Volume 1 are there right now. And one final thing before we dive into it, if you want some film-stocked merch, you can get it at Firefly Shop, linked down below. It's on sale for a few more weeks. Be sure to get yours while you can. Makes for a good Christmas gift. So if we look back at the marketing for Stranger Things Season 5, there are 3 key pieces of footage. We have the To-Doom date announcement, the teaser trailer, and the trailer. Those dropped in May, July, and October. And I'm going to go through all 3 of those and talk about some of the biggest moments that are in those trailers that we actually haven't seen in the show just yet. Starting with the To-Doom date announcement, there's a shot of Steve and Dustin inside Hawkins' lab looking up at what seems to be the roof, both of them holding flashlights. I can safely say this is going to be in Volume 2. We haven't seen this yet. At the end of Volume 1, the last time we see the group of Dustin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan, they've all decided they're going to make their way over to Hawkins' lab because that is actually the center point of the Upside Down they figured out, and so they want to see if maybe there are some clues as for the origins of the Upside Down, if things maybe emanate or come from Hawkins' lab, so they're headed back there, and once they arrive, it looks like they're going to pair off into 2 groupings, Steve and Dustin, and Jonathan and Nancy. So this shot from the To-Doom date announcement shows Steve and Dustin inside the lab, maybe looking up at a gate of sorts, or potentially that explosion in the sky that we see later, because again, this is a shot of them all 4 outside of Hawkins' lab in the Upside Down looking up as red lightning flashes in the sky, and of course we have a shot of all 4 of them head on looking at the lab as well. I'd imagine in Episode 5 Shock Jock, they're going to pull up at Hawkins' lab. I don't know how long they're going to wait around because, hey, they know what's at stake. Their mission with that group of 4 is to go to Hawkins' lab. Why dilly-dally around? I say they show up there in Episode 5, so I think all those shots I just showed are going to be from the first episode of Volume 2. And again, we know Steve and Dustin are going to pair off, so this moment of Steve embracing Dustin is probably going to be from the same exact episode. We see Dustin basically crying into Steve's arms, and then Steve hugging him, and I think this is going to be the moment where they finally make amends, acknowledge they've both kind of been a-holes to each other, likely over the last 18 months. This could be a moment where Dustin breaks down and says, hey, Steve, I've been grieving the loss of Eddie, and I just need you to be like a big brother to me right here. And Steve could say, you know, I'm here for you, and I'm sorry for the way I've been quickly irritable throughout this season and throughout this time period. And they both can acknowledge their wrongdoings, their shortcomings, but grow from it and embrace each other as brothers and say, hey, I love you, man, and I'm here for you. And I think that's what this sweet moment is going to be. Again, we haven't seen it yet, but I imagine it's going to be at Hawkins' lab. When they have alone time, one-on-one, they're walking around the lab, they can say, hey, I'm sorry for the way I've been treating you, and that's where we can get some classic Steve and Dustin moments moving forward after they've made amends in the back half of this season. And I think that's what we as the fans need and frankly deserve. But at the same time, we know Jonathan and Nancy, or Jancy, are going to break off at some point, and we can see the 2 of them are going to have a scene as evidenced in the teaser trailer where we've got the 2 of them talking together, and Jonathan's basically saying, like, everything that's happened, it's tied us together forever. So he's basically saying, like, all the crap we've gone through throughout all 5 seasons of the show has made us closer than ever, and we have a bond that is unbreakable and could maybe last the rest of their lives. This could potentially be an engagement scene. I think that could be something they save for an epilogue. There's also a theory running around that my fiance told me about that apparently some people believe that engagement ring is actually for Hopper, and Jonathan got it for Hopper to give to Joyce. Cool theory. I had never thought about it that way, but I think that ring will in fact be for Jonathan to propose to Nancy, but who knows? Much like how Steve and Dustin are going to have a scene at Hawkins' lab where they kind of make amends, it seems like Jonathan and Nancy are going to do the same and really embrace each other as the couple that they are, and they are the endgame couple in my opinion if we're talking Jancy versus Nancy. They've kind of made that clear ever since the back half of season 3, And so I'm pretty on board with the idea of them two having a scene, pouring their hearts out for one another, addressing, you know, hey, I've been a little distant lately, but I've been going through it. I mean, as we know, Nancy's parents are in the hospital and her sister is missing, so it's been crazy. They've also all been in quarantine for 18 months, so life has just been completely upended. I think they're gonna have a sweet couple moment, a classic Jancy moment, feeling like season 2 with the romance in the air, kind of re-sparking that relationship ever so slightly and giving them some momentum heading into the back half of the season. Again, we even know they're gonna have a little forehead touch moment as seen in one of the trailers. Like, this is gonna be a really sweet scene. It could even get the waterworks going. But it doesn't seem like we're just gonna have small character moments here. There's something going down at Hawkins' lab. As we can see here, there's a shot of Nancy next to Jonathan in Hawkins' lab, and she's got a shotgun. As always, she's packing heat. What is she shooting at? That's the question. Could it be Demodogs? Could it be Demogorgons? Who's to say? I think it could certainly involve whatever's happening in the sky here, which is another shot we haven't talked about, as Jonathan and Nancy are looking up at basically the sky dissolving. This is their faces looking up. You can tell in the background they're on the roof of Hawkins' lab. It looks like the lab is melting somehow. But what are they looking up at? There's a lot of possibilities here. We now know the upside down is in the shape of a circle, and there's this barrier wall around it. Well, if that's carved out of Dimension X, this explosion of sorts in the sky could be dissolving that barrier, and basically Dimension X could just be revealed to overtake the upside down. So all along, our characters have been in Dimension X. They just have been in a little portion carved out that's only Hawkins, and that's what we know the upside down to be. So the two could be merging into one finally. This could also involve escape from Camazotz and potentially Holly and or Max escaping from Henry's mind, which could be behind that wall in Dimension X. And so this is how they're getting through. It could also involve something that we aren't aware of yet, and this is breaking the barrier between the right side up in Dimension X, or the right side up in the upside down, or like I said, the upside down in Dimension X. But we know what they're looking at is probably going to be this same exact explosion that comes from overhead of Hawkins' lab. And we see that spreading all throughout the upside down, all the way to this wall near the church where Hopper and Elle are. So we're gonna see some crazy stuff here. It's safe to say that early on in Volume 2, we're gonna get the ball rolling. I'd imagine this shot of Hawkins' lab is probably from Shock Jock or Escape from Camazotz. I don't think they've showed hardly anything from the bridge or the right side up, in my personal opinion. I'm sure we'll see some from every episode when we get to the Volume 2 trailer in a couple days or weeks. But for now, I think all this has the potential to be in the first episode of the back half of the season. And if you take into account this shot of the sky that looks exactly like Dimension X when Henry was initially transported there by Elle post the massacre at Hawkins' lab, you can see someone falling, and if you zoom in again and hyper HD that thing, it could be Holly, and in my opinion, this could be her escaping from Camazotz. It could also be Max, or it could just be all the kids getting out of Camazotz or Henry's mind prison into Dimension X, into the Upside Down, whatever you want to make of it. This could be them escaping, so I imagine this could probably be from Episode 6 at the end of Episode 6. Now, these two shots are interesting. You've got Dustin looking up with the sort of red flashes in the sky, as well as Nancy and Jonathan looking up, and they're all geared up for battle. Like, Dustin has his ghillie suit looking thing on, just like he did when he was with Eddie in the finale of season 4. And then Nancy's looking up, geared up for battle. Jonathan's there as well, and you can actually see just out of frame behind Nancy is an axe head, so you have to imagine Steve is right there with them. You can even see what looks like Steve's jeans and jacket behind Dustin's head here, so I think Steve is alive and well in this shot also. Now, if you pay attention, it looks like they're maybe on the radio tower from the WSQK radio station, like at the top of the tower, just in the upside down. Very cool concept here. And the trailer is edited to make it look like they are looking up at Holly or someone falling through the sky that is Dimension X, but I think they're actually going to be different scenes, and there's just going to be some trailer trickery at play here. What the hell was that? Regardless, I am of the opinion this could be from the bridge or potentially even the finale. Like the developers have said, all the trailers thus far have actually shown shots from every episode. We just don't know when. Well, we can narrow it down. This is from 5, 6, 7, or 8, and I'm leaning 7 or 8 with these shots specifically. We got to talk about Mike and 11 here. There's a shot of them in Hopper's cabin, and it's going to likely be potentially a final goodbye or a final moment of, hey, we're going to battle, we're going to end this thing once and for all. Let's say our final goodbyes for the time being. It's a shot of Mike and Elle sitting on the edge of the bathtub. Elle is in a wetsuit, so we know she's about to go into the tub and enter the void so that she can likely track down Holly or try to maybe connect with Kali, or like I said, search for Vecna. There's endless possibilities here with where they want to take the story, but there's a line here from the trailer where 11 basically says, Mike, this isn't like one of your campaigns. You can't write the ending this time. Very much says, hey, there's an impending sense of doom here. You know what it reminds me a lot of? The line from the season 4 volume 2 trailer where Robin tells Steve, I have this terrible feeling it's not going to work out this time. So I kind of view this as like a final goodbye. I think they'll have another moment, but I've always been of the opinion for a while now that 11's going to bite the dust, and to me this seems like a moment between them to to kind of embrace the calm before the storm, but then ultimately have one final tragic moment after maybe Elle dies or Mike is in danger, and I feel like this is just before the last wild mission. Of course, we also get this shot of Eleven from the trailer looking up, and she's in the tub, and this seems like right before she's about to go into the void and potentially find Holly, Max, or like I said, Vecna. We gotta talk about Lumax, or Lucas and Max here as well, because we've seen multiple shots of Lucas with Max in the hospital, evading Demodogs and or Demogorgons, or both. First off, we got this shot that's clearly in like the basement of the hospital as a Demodog and or Demogorgon is walking through and ultimately walking around the corner to reveal Lucas holding Max's body, hiding behind a corner. This is that Jurassic Park reference we've all been talking about from the teaser. And you can see next to them is Vicky, likely. There's the red hair. We haven't seen this yet. This could very well be from Escape from Camazotz, because how cool would it be to see Max's body under attack in the right side up and Lucas trying to protect her, get her out of the hospital, while in Camazotz or Henry's mind, Max and Holly are doing some crazy mission to escape, and we see the two sort of coinciding, cutting back and forth. It has potential to be one of the best episodes of the show, especially if you take into account who's directing it, Sean Levy. We have the shot of Lucas holding Max as a Demodog full steam charges at them in an elevator, so that's likely right before the Jurassic Park moment. They're going down to the basement of the hospital and the Demodogs follow them down there is my guess. It's worth noting Lucas is holding a boombox / stereo here. We've already seen him play Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill. That's probably going to be blasting again, and we'll get another season 4 moment. I feel like this will parallel Dear Billy in a way, and I can't wait. Thinking about it right now gets me giddy. It gets me giddy. I'll say it. We're getting close. I'm damn ready for Vol 2. And we have this out of context shot as well that looks like an explosion in a hospital room. I don't know who this is. I don't know where this is. This might be Max's room. This could be a room over. This could be something from the military base. I genuinely don't know. I'm also like, who's laying on the ground here? I still can't make out what's happening. I've had my theories that that's Lucas and Max's hospital room. I've had my theories that, oh, this is the military base. This is one of those moments where I just have no clue what's actually going on. It could even be maybe the explosion from overhead in Hawkins' lab in the upside down, making its way to like the military lab. It's hard to really say. Another group of shots we have, there's one of Joyce looking concerned as she sits on a couch. Mike's in the background looking unconcerned as well. But you can see some feet on that couch. That's definitely Will, and he probably hasn't woken up. He might be knocked out after the events of Sorcerer when he channels Vecna's powers, and so Joyce is concerned, Mike's a little concerned, and Will's just kind of out of commission. We have this shot of everyone embracing him in what looks like the same location, potentially in the radio station. You got Dustin here, Lucas, Mike, Eleven, and then Jonathan hugging Will. Will's actually wearing a hoodie here, though, and this, to me, could be an out-of-context moment from the finale. This could be spoiling who all lives. Like, this could be a final embrace after they pull off the mission, and they just put that shot in the trailer hoping we wouldn't read too deep into it. I hope that's not the case, because I can't stand when movies and shows put really spoilery shots out of context, so when we go back and watch, like, oh my gosh, that was a big, embrace after they pulled off the final mission to take down Vecna. This could also be a final goodbye before everyone goes their separate ways on the mission, where they all pair off into different groupings. So who knows? But all I can tell is Will is alive here, and maybe this is after the events of Sorcerer. This could be like Shock Jock or Escape from Camazotz stuff, but it looks like a sweet moment. And there's another theory here as well. This could be after he tells Mike his true feelings for him and everyone embraces him and still loves Will for who he is. We have this shot of Hopper, and he says, "Let's end this kid," to what looks like Elle, but it also is shot in a way that could potentially be Kali. We don't really know. The assumption here is that he's talking to Elle, and it looks like she's about to go into another one of her tubs, like not the one at Hopper's cabin, but I'm not really sure what's going on here. You want to talk about trailer trickery? This shot was shown multiple times in different pieces of footage. It's of the radio tower at WSQK with the shadow form particles of the Mind Flayer wrapping itself around it, and it's constantly been shown with Robin looking up at it, but having seen Volume 1, Robin's actually looking up at a Demogorgon here. Robin is not looking at this tower, so this shot is from Volume 2, and it kind of implies that we're gonna see the formation of the Mind Flayer in the right side up. And I'm not talking the Season 3 physical form Mind Flayer, I'm talking the shadow particle form of the Mind Flayer that we've kind of just seen in the upside down. It's gonna make its way out to the right side up. And taking it one step further, where is it here in the right side up? It's around the radio tower. Well, we've seen Dustin, Jonathan, Steve, and Nancy on the radio tower in the upside down, so perhaps they're there to lure it or combat it. I think it's going to be sick, and the potential for the shadowy form of the Mind Flayer to be in the right side up would be unreal cool. It would be a first for the show, and it would take it to a whole nother level. Especially if they go the direction I'm thinking they are with the Mind Flayer's control over Vecna, having sort of lured Henry to the dark side in his past. If you get into some of the first Shadow lore, there is so much potential there.
We are going to do such beautiful things together.
Speaking of that, this shot has already been shown, but the voiceover attached to it hasn't been. Vecna tells Will, "You're gonna help me one last time." We have not heard that line in the show yet, and so we don't know when that is. It could be from the first episode of Volume 2, it could be from near the back half of the finale, but one can only assume it means that Will's gonna get out of this sticky situation in episode 5 because Vecna's not there anymore and Will's just used his powers, and we're gonna find a moment later on where Will is going to be repossessed or attacked by Vecna. The thought process I have is that line is actually gonna be inside of Will's head. Just like how Will tapped into the hive mind to use Vecna's powers, right? He channeled them. I think there's a world where Vecna does the reversal of that to Will. Now, obviously, he's not using Will's powers, but he's able to take over Will's body via the hive mind. And then you want to get literal, he would 100% be a spy in physical formation there, right? Vecna controlling Will's body, but it's Vecna's mind inside of Will's head. And that is where the moment where Will yells "run" could be coming from. I know we had our theories about, oh my gosh, it's a dragon, it's Vecna, etc., etc. What if in reality, right, the moment from the To Doom date announcement of Will yelling "run, you need to run" could actually be a moment where he's about to get overtaken by Vecna, and Vecna is going to be able to use his powers, just like how Will used those powers and killed the Demogorgons at the end of Volume 1. We're going to see Vecna do that through Will to our heroes, and that is why he could be telling him to run, because in that moment we could also see this shot of Will in what looks like Vecna's mind, or potentially near the spires. Who really knows? And it could be Vecna telling Will, "You're gonna help me one last time." That's where Will could be mentally in that moment, but he has just enough power and sense of where he is to overpower Vecna taking him over for a split second to say, "You guys need to run." It's gonna be wild whenever that run moment does happen. And having seen the first volume, I really thought that was going to be like Ep 1, Ep 2, Ep 3, Ep 4. No, it's going to be in the back half of the season. So if you think about it, some of the first footage we got is actually from the back half of the season. Moving right along, we've got this shot of Holly, and I'm pretty sure we haven't seen this just yet. My theory here is that Holly is going to be experiencing some of Henry's memories. As we know, she's in Camazotz. She's wearing her Holly the Heroic getup here, and in the background, I don't think we've seen her here. This is obviously not what she's wearing when the Demogorgon attack happens at the Wheeler house, and I'm pretty sure we haven't seen this moment yet. So to me, this is going to be her looking at a memory of Henry's, looking at maybe one of her own traumatic memories, or potentially seeing something in Camazotz that is freaky. On a similar note, I don't believe we've seen this shot of Nancy yet, where she's in what looks like a military base or a new location straight up, where she has a rifle and she's firing shots at something. I do not believe we've seen this yet. I'm like 90% sure of it, but it goes to show that there's still going to be a military presence in the back half of the season with soldiers, and of course threats with Demodogs, Demogorgons, and maybe the return of Demobats. I don't know where the hell they've been. Same thing, I don't think we've seen this shot of a bullet shell coming out of the rifle. It's a close-up. That kind of looks like Dustin, but it's genuinely impossible to tell. That could be Nancy. I'm just basing off the fact that it looks like the person's wearing a hood or a hat. This could also be a shot from the massacre that I just missed. And again, I don't believe we've seen this shot of Linda Hamilton's character firing her pistol in what looks like the downtown military base, but I totally could have missed it, and this could have been taking place during the massacre. I'm just thinking she was a little occupied when all that was going down. But the final shot we've seen in the trailers that's probably the most telling, and I believe to be from the finale, is this shot of Eleven working her way through the Upside Down. There's absolute carnage around her. She's tossing around rubble, pieces of buildings. She looks angry. It looks to be like she's pretty beaten down, and she's pissed off. This could be following that explosion in the sky that perhaps dissolves part of the Upside Down. This could also be during the destruction of the Upside Down in Dimension X as we know it, and she could be making her way to the last open gate to get back to the right side up, but she stays back and goes out with the Upside Down. Whatever this is, it looks like a pretty heroic moment, and it seems to be like a final showdown with her and Vecna. I am of the opinion this is going to be from episode 7 or episode 8, but it's such a blink and you'll miss it shot from the trailer that it wasn't shown a lot intentionally, and again, I believe it's going to be from a key moment, maybe even her final showdown with Vecna. Now, I do want to talk about the fact that we've seen the inside of Hawkins' lab and some of these behind-the-scenes videos between the One Last Adventure video and the BTS teaser. Like, there's a shot right here of tons of vines in the hall of Hawkins' lab. Same here, you can see Steve with Sean Levy, who we know directs Escape from Camazotz. They're inside Hawkins' lab. So it seems like we're going to be spending a little bit of time in Hawkins' lab. Might not just be a one and done. They might be here for a few episodes until that explosion in the sky. Again, we got more shots. If you look at this one, there's some characters walking towards the lab. Hard to make out exactly who they are. It looks like Nancy and Robin are there. It's really impossible to tell, but there's gonna be a lot of time spent at Hawkins' lab, which I'm here for. It's one of the OG locations. It's literally the first location we see in Stranger Things when the camera pans down from the sky. It reveals Hawkins' Department of Energy, aka Hawkins' lab. So it's pretty awesome that we're getting back to the roots of the show, going back to an iconic location. We even see the military military storming in what looks like Lieutenant Akers, Alex Bro, and Linda Hamilton's Dr. K leading the charge. So crazy stuff's going down. We've seen, Nancy with a shotgun there. She could be shooting at these military guys. And the final shot I'll talk about in this video is of this door out in a field. It looks like we're near WSQK radio station, but who do we know has the ability to cast a doorway to dimensions or between dimensions? Holly the Heroic. We wouldn't have had that scene with her and Mike in episode 1 for nothing. She's going to be able to have some sort of powers, and this could likely be where her and Max escape from Camazotz. She creates a doorway, and that is where they find their way back to Hawkins, the right side up in Volume 2. But as far as I know, that's every shot we've seen from Volume 2 in the finale and all the trailers combined. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I missed any shots from the trailers that are in Volume 2 or the finale. I'd love to discuss that down there. But what do you guys think? How are you feeling? We're only like 2.5 weeks out from Volume 2 dropping, which is insane to say. The next 3 episodes, of course, I'll be reacting to those, breaking them all down as I did with Volume 1. So there's lots of Stranger Things content on the way you won't want to miss. Subscribe to that notification bell to be notified for all of it, and of course, hit that like button. Thank you guys so much for your continued support lately. It truly does mean the world. If you want extra content, Patreon is the place to be. But that'll do it for every shot we've seen from Volume 2 in the finale thus far. I can't wait to break it all down on Christmas Day and the following days. It's going to be a busy end of the year, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But truly, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you on the other side of the Upside Down.